It started at a funeral, not just any funeral, Aunt Marla's. She lived 82 long years, and when her time came, only 3 people stood in the chapel to say goodbye. 3. One was the pastor, another was the groundskeeper, the third was me. Remember the way Grandma June's hand clamped around mine that day? Her skin was papery, her rings cold and digging into my fingers. She didn't look at me. Her gaze was locked on the rows of empty pews and faded hymnals. Her voice came out like a breath of wind. "Promise me," she whispered. "Don't let that happen to me." I thought it was grief. I really did. We all did. After losing her sister, and after losing Grandpa 2 years earlier, it made sense that she'd spiral a little. Her calls became more frequent, at first during the commercials of her favorite game shows. She'd ask how my day was, what Maya had eaten for lunch, whether I remembered the time she took me to the zoo in 2nd grade. She even started baking again. Lemon squares, just because I'd mentioned them once in high school. It was sweet at first. It felt like healing. Then came Sunday dinners. She insisted on them. At first it was comforting. Home-cooked meals filled her once lonely house with life again. Her pot roast was still perfect, and she laid fresh flowers on the table every time. After dinner, we'd flip through photo albums she kept stacked like treasure on the coffee table. She lit up every time Maya, my daughter, called her she. She recorded their conversations, just in case, she said, for when my memory goes. She'd replay Maya's giggle during dessert like it was a symphony. It was adorable, until it wasn't. The first red flag came quietly. A call during a client Zoom meeting. "Just wanted to hear your voice, sweetheart. You never know when it might be the last time." When I gently told her I couldn't always pick up, she showed up that weekend with a stack of Apple Watches. One for each of us. "For emergencies," she said. But they were synced to her phone. That's when the texts started. "Your pulse spiked at 2:47. Everything okay? Thinking of you." She didn't stop there. Jake, my cousin, missed one dinner because of a work trip. When he returned to his apartment, everything was different. Furniture rearranged, drawers rifled through, but the photos, that's what caught him. Every single one of his own framed pictures had been swapped with portraits of Grandma June, smiling in a garden. There was a note on his nightstand: "So you don't forget who loves you the most." We laughed it off, at first. "She has a key for emergencies," Jake muttered, even though he didn't remember giving her one. We exchanged glances. She had keys to all our places. When had that happened? Then came the dinner quizzes. What did we eat last Sunday? Who sat next to whom? What color dress was Lisa wearing? When my brother David forgot a joke he told 2 weeks ago, Grandma burst into tears. "You're already forgetting me, and I'm still here." Lisa, my sister, found the first recording device. It was Thanksgiving. She was helping in the kitchen when she noticed something odd behind the flour canister, an old smartphone camera facing the room. "For the family cookbook," Grandma said quickly when confronted. "I want to remember all of this. Every word." She gripped Lisa's wrist so tightly her knuckles turned white. After that, we started noticing the pattern. She never let anyone use the bathroom alone. She'd pace outside the door pretending to tidy. When Mom finally cracked and checked the decor, she found tiny cameras nestled in the potpourri baskets. "What if someone falls?" Grandma protested. "What if you need me and I'm not there?" The next week, she showed up at Maya's school with a forgotten lunch, one I'd packed myself. The teachers were confused. She said she was listed as Maya's primary caregiver, they told me, concerned. "She's been volunteering in the classroom," said she's studying family behavior patterns. Behavior patterns, as if we were lab rats. Then Jake set off a medical alarm during an MRI. That's when we discovered the GPS trackers, sewn into backpacks, tucked into wallets, even baked into cookies. "Eat one when you miss me," Grandma had said. Her Facebook posts started flooding our phones. Photo collages with captions like 418 days of loving my family. She tagged us repeatedly, day and night. Then she began commenting on posts from years ago. "Remember when you used to spend time with Grandma? You smiled more back then." Even when we tried to meet up without her, she'd appear. Coincidentally, she'd claim. But we knew she was tracking us. Find My Friends showed her location right outside Lisa's yoga studio, outside Mom's book club, outside Jake's barbershop. Then came the mannequins, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Before that, she started asking doctors for our medical records, claiming to be our emergency contact. My pediatrician called, saying Grandma had requested Maya's full chart. She was crossing boundaries none of us knew how to address, until my wife found her in our bedroom at 2:03 a.m., standing over Maya's bed, holding scissors. "She's growing so fast," Grandma whispered. "I need to remember every stage." She'd clipped a lock of Maya's hair. We found the wall later, in her sewing room. Dozens of hair samples pinned with labels, dates, times, what we'd eaten that day. My stomach turned, but nothing prepared us for the guest room. It was Mom who found it. She'd been digging through the attic for Christmas decorations when she opened the wrong door. The scream she let out brought everyone running. Inside were mannequins, life-size, dressed in our actual clothes. We recognized Jake's sweatshirt, Lisa's summer dress, my old college hoodie. They were seated around a dinner table, and from their chests, small speakers played our voices on a loop. "Sunday dinner forever. Love you, Grandma." We stood frozen. No one moved, no one spoke. It wasn't love anymore. It was possession. The breaking point a week later, she called at 3 a.m., sobbing. "I'm dying," she gasped. "Please, please come. I need to see everyone one last time." We dropped everything, the whole family. We rushed over in pajamas and panic. But when we arrived, she was standing in the foyer, fully dressed, calm, with a spread of sandwiches laid out neatly on the table. "I just needed to know you'd still come," she said. Like that explained everything. We confronted her, finally, tried to explain how suffocating it all was, how her love had turned into control. She refused to listen. "You'll understand when you're older," she said. She was convinced we were the ones being unreasonable, that her constant presence, her tracking, her surveillance, all of it was affection, was care, was love. But it wasn't. It was fear. Fear of being forgotten. Fear of fading away like Aunt Marla. Fear that the people she loved might move on without her. The fallout. We cut off contact, at least for a while. Some of us changed our locks, deleted her from Find My Friends, removed her from school contact lists, unfollowed her on Facebook. It broke her, but we couldn't breathe with her watching every step we took. She never apologized. She still sends letters sometimes, written in perfect cursive, scented with her perfume. "I'm still here, in case you miss me." And I do. I miss the sweet version of her, the cookies, the photo albums, the sound of Maya's laughter echoing through her house. But love that turns into obsession? That's not love anymore. That's something else entirely. It didn't end with the mannequins, if only it had. had. After that horrifying discovery, our family splintered. Some tried to pretend it hadn't happened. Others demanded explanations. I couldn't sleep for days. Maya began waking up screaming. My wife started locking every window at night. We all changed our routines, avoiding the usual paths to work, double-checking our locks, covering up our webcams. It felt like we were escaping a stalker. But how do you run from your own grandmother? And the worst part? She still didn't think she'd done anything wrong. She called it love. I just want to preserve our memories, she said, when confronted again. Is that a crime? We tried getting her professional help. Mom arranged for a therapist to visit. Grandma June smiled politely, poured tea, and told stories about her youth. By the end of the session, the therapist was convinced we were overreacting. She's a lonely old woman, he said. Maybe she just needs more structured contact. We didn't know how else to explain it. The cameras, the voice recordings, the mannequins, the surveillance. What was the line between caregiving and captivity? One day, Lisa found her phone had been mirrored. Every text, every photo she took, synced to an iPad found hidden in Grandma June's dresser drawer. Jake discovered that his bank statements had been reviewed. Grandma June had installed budgeting apps to help, but was secretly tracking their spending. Then Maya's behavior changed. She stopped drawing at school. Her teacher said she'd begun asking strange questions. What happens if someone's always watching? Is it okay to not love someone who says they love you? That broke me. We tried to cut contact completely, but she wouldn't allow it. She showed up to Maya's recital uninvited. When denied entry, she stood outside the auditorium in the rain, holding a sign that read, "Family matters more than pride." The video went viral. Suddenly, people online were calling us the villains, the cold-hearted children abandoning their sweet grandmother. She knew exactly what she was doing. Her public image was perfect. Crocheting blankets for veterans, baking for the church, smiling with children at the library. They didn't see the truth. They didn't hear the messages she left at 3 a.m., whispering, "I'm outside. Just wanted to make sure you're still breathing." They didn't see the candlelit dinners she had with the mannequins. They didn't find the spreadsheet she kept titled Heartbeat Logs, where she monitored our biometrics from the watches she gave us. Eventually, we sought a restraining order. It was the hardest decision of our lives. The court required proof, so we showed everything. The footage, the audio files, the notes. She wept in the courtroom. "I just didn't want to be forgotten," she said. And in that moment, I almost crumbled, because I saw the real fear beneath it all. She had loved so deeply, so desperately. She'd built a prison for it. The judge ordered her to attend psychiatric evaluation and respect our privacy. For a while, there was peace, but silence didn't mean safety. One night, Maya came into our room holding a letter. No stamp, no envelope, just folded paper tucked beneath her pillow. "I still think of you when it rains," it said. "Even the mannequins miss you." We moved, changed our names, started fresh in a different city. But memory follows you. Every time I see a white Buick in the rearview mirror, my chest tightens. Every time I hear the slow creak of a porch swing, I wonder if she's found us again. Sometimes I wonder if she's still alive. Other times I wonder if she's right outside. But I've learned something in all this. Love isn't always soft. Sometimes it's sharp. Sometimes it cuts before you realize you're bleeding. And sometimes it wears a familiar face. That's what makes it so dangerous. We thought we were safe after the move. New city, new names, new locks. For the first time in years, we breathed without fear. Maya smiled more. Lisa started sleeping through the night. I even caught myself singing while making breakfast. There were no late night calls, no unmarked envelopes, no sightings of white Buicks. Life became ordinary. But ordinary never lasts. It started subtly, as it always does. A birthday card left in Maya's school cubby. No return address, but signed in her unmistakable cursive, "From Nana, always watching over you." We told the school to increase security. They claimed the cameras caught nothing. No stranger on campus, no breach of protocol. Then came the doll, a porcelain figure with Maya's face, hand-painted freckles, the same ribbon she wore in last year's recital. It sat on our doorstep one morning. No note this time, just a whisper of her presence. Lisa shattered it with a hammer before I could stop her. Maya cried for hours, not for the doll, but because she knew what it meant. Grandma June had found us again. We installed motion detectors, hired private security, warned Maya never to go anywhere alone. But it didn't matter. Fear seeped in through the walls. It hid in doorknobs and behind bathroom mirrors. It followed us to sleep, curled in our beds like a second skin. Then Jake called. He hadn't spoken to us since the restraining order, said we'd taken things too far, said she was just an old woman with a broken heart. But now his voice trembled. "She's here," he whispered. "She's inside the house." He found her sitting in the attic, surrounded by candles, holding a photo of us all. She didn't speak, just hummed the lullaby Mom used to sing when we were kids. When police arrived, she vanished. No trace, just her scent lingering in the air, lavender and old paper. The family gathered, all of us, even the ones who'd tried to stay out of it. We went through every shred of history we had with her. Diaries, photos, emails. We started to see patterns, phrases she repeated, people she manipulated, how long she'd been preparing this network of control. It wasn't grief that twisted her. It was obsession, seeded long before we ever noticed, maybe even before we were born. One of the most chilling discoveries came from Lisa's research into Grandma June's past. Her own mother had disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Records wiped. No death certificate, just a single entry. In an old hospital log, patient transferred. Caregiver requested privacy. We weren't the first family she tried to trap in a fantasy. Lisa found evidence of multiple identities. Old nursing licenses under different names. Volunteer records in towns she claimed never to have visited. One photograph in particular haunts me. A photo of a different family, smiling around a table, with Grandma June standing at the head. Same expression, same posture. None of us know who they are. We reported it to the authorities. The investigation reopened. They couldn't charge her with much. No bodies, no concrete crimes, just layers of unease. She became a myth in some circles, a cautionary tale in others. The grandmother who loved too much. Then came the letter. Maya found it inside her new backpack. This time, it wasn't handwritten. It was typed. Short, cold, final. "You can't erase blood. I'll see you soon." We took it seriously. Too seriously, some said. We pulled Maya out of school, moved again, changed phone numbers, got therapy, tried to live, tried to forget. But forgetting is a luxury we no longer have. Even now, as I write this, I wonder what's real. I check the cameras hourly. I listen for floor creaks that shouldn't be there. I still see her face in crowds clouds, in dreams, in shadows. Her love never died. It metastasized, turned monstrous. And I've learned that sometimes survival isn't about running. It's about remembering exactly what you're running from. Because if we let our guard down even for a second, she'll come back. She always does. We thought the letter would be the end, that a final goodbye, typed, sterile, and threatening, was her swan song, a delusion we desperately clung to. Because anything was better than accepting the truth. Grandma June was still out there, watching, planning. We moved again, this time out of the country, somewhere quiet, rural, no digital footprints, off the grid. We changed our names again, burned every document that tied us to our old lives. Maya became Ella. Lisa went by Claire. Just mom now. No history, no roots, no trace. For 6 months, peace. Real, breathing peace. Maya ran in fields without looking over her shoulder. Lisa began painting again. I laughed. A full, unguarded laugh, for the first time in years. And then, it started. Neighbor mentioned an old woman asking about a family with a daughter who had freckles and a missing tooth. A woman who smelled like lavender said she was the girl's aunt. We found the cameras again, hidden in trees this time. Not industrial grade, subtle wildlife-style cams disguised as birdhouses. Only one image came through before we yanked them. All down. The back of a white-haired figure watching from a ridge. June's signature shawl trailing in the wind. We panicked, called the embassy, pleaded for asylum. They thought we were delusional, paranoid, trauma-induced psychosis. They whispered when they thought we couldn't hear. But paranoia loses its edge when it's right. Then came the fire. Our barn, torched in the middle of the night. No animals hurt, thankfully, but the message was clear. We found a single footprint in the ash. A woman's. Small, deliberate. Maya stopped speaking after that. Not a word. Just drew pictures. Always the same. A house, surrounded by trees, and a woman in the window watching. We didn't wait this time. We fled again, crossed borders, faked documents, found a compound for survivors of coercive families. They welcomed us, believed us, taught us to fight back. Not with fists, but with patterns, legal loopholes, psychological defenses. We weren't alone. Turns out there were others. Other families she'd reached, not all directly, but through systems, charities, educational programs. June was a spider, her web wider than we knew. We formed a group, Daughters of June. Not just literal descendants, metaphorical ones. People who'd escaped manipulative matriarchs, fathers, aunts. We shared tactics, data, evidence, and we built a case. One brave ex-cop in the group had the contacts we needed. International cooperation, private investigators, DNA tracking. Eventually, we narrowed her location to a remote village in Romania. She was posing as a retired schoolteacher. No records, no internet. But the lavender-scented soaps sold at the local market were her signature recipe. We knew. I didn't want revenge. I wanted finality. We didn't approach her. We documented, filmed, gathered testimonies, proved the web she'd spun over decades. When authorities moved in, she didn't resist. Just smiled, that same smile she wore at every family dinner. She said only one thing. You finally came home. The trial was surreal. She was charged with fraud, identity theft, illegal surveillance, and emotional abuse across multiple jurisdictions. Maya testified via video. Her voice cracked, but she spoke. For all of us. She was sentenced to life in a psychiatric facility. No parole, no visitors, no letters. It should have ended there. But healing doesn't come with verdicts. It comes with time. Maya is 16 now. Speaks 3 languages. Paints. She still jumps at shadows, but she laughs too. Lisa teaches trauma survivors. I write. Not about June. Not directly. But about the ways love can curdle. How family can imprison. And how survival isn't just about running. It's about reclaiming. Sometimes I see older women with white hair and flinch. Sometimes I hear a lullaby and freeze. But mostly, I breathe. Because the scariest part wasn't that she might return. It was believing for too long that what she did was love. Now, I know better. Love doesn't cage. It doesn't stalk. It doesn't demand obedience in the name of protection. Love lets go, and we finally did.